Hello, world, and welcome to episode 9 of the 3FL podcast, centered around faith, family, fitness, love, loyalty, and leadership. I'm your host, Tyler Friend, and today we have two very special guests, two people that are very near and dear to me that I work with on a regular basis. Today, we're going to really dive in more into the leadership side of things, but being able to just be around these people on a regular basis and watch them grow and develop and turn into what I would say is who they're designed to be, or kind of live more in their identity, and just watch, how rapid the growth is and how much, time and energy that they put into not just themselves, but also into the business is truly inspired to me just to be able to lead you guys. So I wanted to bring you on today. So I want to welcome Jack John Philippe, and Dylan Nolan.
Let's go. Thanks for having us.
So first, if you guys want to introduce yourself, just kind of tell you where you're from, things like that. Jack, you can go first.
Yep. So my name is Jack John Philippe. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, but I was born in Haiti. Background, and then I kind of did some bouncing around and found myself here in Ocala because my family moved here, and then started working Zone pretty much right after that.
Yeah, I'm Dylan. Born and raised here in Ocala, Florida. Went to college up in Kentucky, and recently moved down here probably 8-9 months ago. But what's cool about me moving back down here is being involved with the gym that I basically grew up with. And that's the cool part about Zone, is that it shows how well the community is, not just for Zone, but Ocala. So that's what's cool about being a part of this too.
Yeah, awesome. And then I want to go, and rewind from whenever you guys first started. If you guys could tell me a little bit about where you guys' perspective was at with your life and where you were at that point in time. Jack, if you want to go first.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I just got down here, moved. My friend brought me down here, and I was actually working at a different job. And I started joined the gym, of course, started taking some classes just to kind of get my cardio back up. And Miss Celine actually was the instructor she was doing the work, the Zumba class and things like that. And I was just being consistent with that, with my own program as well. And then she kind of saw me and just actually approached me with the opportunity of working here, which was not even on my radar. And then ever since then, just kind of with Tyler, of course, and with everyone here, just like I've had different jobs. I was in the military as well, and like this has been like a great community that I kind of jumped into, and then just been trying to learn and grow as best I can. So, just excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah, for me, it's a full circle moment because, like I said before, born and raised here in Ocala and being part of the Zone as a member and that kinds of stuff. But like I said before, I went to college up in Kentucky. I was a college baseball player for Kentucky Christian University. And what's cool about that is that I actually graduated this past May, about 8 or 9 months ago, and was actually in the process of being the pitching coach for that same school. And about 2 or 3 weeks before, I had an overdue on my account. And long story short, talked to Tyler, got to know him a little bit better. He got to know me a little bit better. And, just got to talking, and he asked me, he was like, "Hey man, like, are you planning on, staying in Ocala full time?" And told him about the opportunity that I had to be the pitching coach up there where I went to college. And that's basically what I went to school for, is a bachelor's degree in sports management with a minor degree in business. So this is the perfect kind of aspect of a career that I wanted to get into at that starting point. So got to talking, and then probably 2 or 3 weeks before I was going to move up to be the pitching coach for where I went to college, I got a job interview, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Yeah. And, I think the best part about Zone is whenever you look and you see about the people that kind of go to the organization that we work at and stuff, you're able to see talent, and you're able to see, somebody that probably has a lot of potential. And then you also got to know, like, there's other parts of life that people don't understand yet, and that's like, the leadership side of, like, everybody always wants a good leader, but it's pretty much extinct every organization you go to. So keeping that in the back of my head, I always, like, if I see talent or I see somebody like with a lot of potential, I'm always gonna, try to give my best foot forward and try to leave an impact and try to give them an opportunity to see something more than just going to work and but also serving an impact on a major scale, and being able to build leaders and influence and help them influence people for generations to come and things like that. And I want to kind of go into that on why leadership is important to you guys. So
yeah, I'll go first. Yeah. Reason why I wanted to go first too, because I had this pop up in my head as you said that.
You don't want to forget it.
What you taught me whenever I first started working here is live it, love it, learn it. And that really stuck with me as soon as you taught me that, is because, you know, that's pretty much the whole aspect of life. We're supposed to live our life to the fullest, love our life to the fullest, and we're supposed to loan all that information that we've gained throughout life and loan it to somebody else that may be in need, maybe somebody that's going through a certain season of life that we've been through before, to help them out and kind of go through that season of life, just so we can be that helping hand and stuff like that. And that's something that really stuck with me ever since I started working there.
Amazing.
So yeah,
Love that.
absolutely,
Yep.
dude, absolutely.
Same thing. So like, my biggest leadership thing that I aspire to be is like looking at leaders and having an example. And I think one of the things I really love about this job is one, working with Tyler one-on-one. He's like the epitome of being the example. And I try my best to kind of like aspire to be that. And by doing the little things, being detail focused, and just showing up every day and like bring the joy and know like it's a bigger picture that we're trying to strive for. And I think that's one of the things that Jones kind of separates from any other job I've ever had, is like we're not just we're trying to change lives, and that makes it impactful. That makes sure what you're doing is so important. And then just as best as I can, like give my best effort. Some days are good, some days are bad, but as long as we look to our leaders and then we try to grow ourselves so we can be the example later on, I think that's something that I really strive to do here, and like try to grow as best I can as a leader too. So
Amazing. And yeah, and the things that I really try to teach is like, you know, first thing from what you said is, you know, you're always going to be able to help you know, the most likely person that you're able to help is your past self. So, you know, whatever you go through, there's probably a reason why, or there's a season of life that you've been through that you're able to get other people to experience as well. So that way it kind of gives them the internal factor that they're not alone, and that they're able to kind of like find community around, you know, their struggles, their shortcomings, and then and allowing us to do that, because we keep that center focus, we're able to help them through the process, because that was the reason how you guys had bonded in the first place for the most part. But what happens there is, number one, it builds influence, but also it builds you know, resilience in the other person. It builds community within a structure, and that's like, you know, like the four walls are one thing, but you know, how we create and how we impact with what's within the four walls is what makes a big difference. And then for you being the example, like, you know, growing up without an example, and you know how God works is He's able to, you know, give you a perspective of like, you know, what life is supposed to be like, what life is supposed to look like, and it doesn't look like everything else that, you know, everybody else does. It actually has everything to do with like the frequency you live and how much you love other people and how much you give back. And then ultimately on the back end is when we receive our benefit, and that's why I want to teach you guys as well, is it's time plus energy multiplied by lives changed equals, you know, our, you know, income or whatever, right? But when you're able to multiply it again by the magnitude of the impact, that's when the real magic happens, you know? So imagine if you guys as business and sales leaders, like how you guys influence your team and how you build them up and how it pours into the culture, right? So not only do you impact the people that are under you, you impact the people that are also coming to the space, but then how much we magnify the impact is ultimately, you know, how we look at like how we get paid is it's putting other people first and receiving benefits on the back end. So great, you know, ways to whenever you look at things and you get little nuggets. I'm glad that you guys see, you know, those rather than because I try not to, and you guys know that, I try not to really get people to focus on money as much as just becoming the man and then the money comes. And can you guys tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, whenever I first got hired, you were like, listen, it's going to take a second to kind of get that income that you're wanting to get. And I get that. But you said the more people you help, the more money will start to flow. And the more you won't have to focus on money if you focus on helping more people. So that's what I kind of focus on, not just whenever I first started working here, but day in and day out. I try to, you know, have my actions speak louder than words, just so I can help as much people as possible, just so I can, you know, have that exterior thought out of my head when it comes to income, when it comes to money, finances, all that kinds of stuff. All that's washed away whenever I help as much people as possible. So, yeah.
Because you're not focused on the problem. The only thing you're focused on is how you're able to benefit others.
Exactly.
And then ultimately the problem doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly. And it's in the power of communication too. Once you hear all these problems that everybody else is going through, makes your problem seem like it's just nothing.
Yeah. If you feel all your problems in a pile, you want to take your problems back.
That's the cool thing about it too, is that I'll be talking with members all the time about, you know, what they're going through. outside of the gym and that kind of stuff, and why they actually come in the gym to work out those problems, makes me go at home, the happiest man alive, is because I have no problems at the end of the day. All it is just a season.
Yeah.
So that's what's cool about it, because it makes me reset my mental state to pour my heart out into other people's problems. So yeah.
And it kind of like, it's almost like it's rewarding for you, but it's also freeing, because it just like
Exactly.
it allows you to let go of whatever you're
Yeah.
going through as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, that's the blessing about it all too.
Yeah, I mean, great. I think those are the same things. Like, I think having a servant heart is something I try to aspire to be. So, like, I never chased money. I think money will come, and obviously, we like to have nice things and a lifestyle that can be comfortable as well. But I know that my reward is going to be in heaven, right? So I don't have to chase money. I just know as long as I do the best I can and help as many people as I can, as Tyler's taught me along the way, I think that's going to make a huge difference and leave an impact that can kind of change people's lives and leave a legacy that somebody can look to and say, like, hey, these people, these guys here kind of, change Ocala for the better.
And and as you grow, like, what'll happen is that vision, that impact, that seed that you see, like, it'll start to come to fruition. You're like, okay, this is how we're able to impact Ocala on a larger scale. This is how we're able to benefit nonprofit organizations. This is what we're able to do, And I think it plays a big part in just like, the more successful that we're able to make the company, the more we can pour back into the community. And I think that's what fires us up every day, is like, we don't live just to come in. Like, we put ourselves last, and then ultimately, like, we get taken care of first. And that's in teaching people that. It helps people live in abundance, right? And instead of having all these problems and stuff like that, getting people to look at everything as an opportunity. And that, there's always something good that comes out of every situation. We just have to learn to train the eyes to see it. And being able to do that on a regular basis and reprogram and things like that, you're able to reach new heights. And I think that the thing that planted the seed for you guys was my self-development journey. Whenever I got out of the hospital, and I really started to take life more serious, and I started to take my health more serious, and then I just plugged in, and I was like, there's a lot of stuff that you're leaving on the table. So I would, in learning and growing, I learned very fast, but there was so much that I was doing up until that point. Then there was a catalyst that helped me, So I think the mindset, your skill set, your habits, the things you do on a regular basis, and treating your life like it's a sport, and I always try to go over this, is like, you're setting yourself up for your ultimate win in life, right? You're setting yourself up for your championship, right? What does that look like to you? What is the work that you got to put in? What does that look like to you? What's the average individual's work, and how do you outwork them, in the same industry? Like, there's a lot of different things that come into play, but once you know, like, that you're built different, that you operate in life different, you're built for something more, something greater. And in becoming that person, and this is what I teach, what I try to really, really get you guys to understand, in becoming that person, everything becomes effortless, because you live in abundance. There's opportunities everywhere. You've become the man that you're supposed to be. You see what you're supposed to see, and living in your truth, and not being ashamed of your past and whatever you went through. Those all play a part in how you, in your daily investments into yourself, and how you invest in yourself is really how you invest into the world and how you treat people.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And another thing too that you taught, not just me but Jack too, and the whole rest of the team, is consistency over time equals results. If you just stay consistent with what you're trying to achieve, you're going to find the results.
Yeah.
So.
And I think a big thing, and the reason why I teach you guys that, is because, like, the world and everybody in it seems like nowadays it's just so easy to give up when things are hard. So if I'm able to just teach you guys a formula, and then get you guys to understand we're always 4 feet away from goal. When tragic happens, when resistance breaks, when it's a test day, in times when everybody else breaks down, and for us to be able to stay consistently over time, that's when we achieve the result. But it's when we stop digging and we stop panning for it, is when we lose it.
Start getting comfortable.
And we start getting comfortable, or we start to lose faith and hope, or we start to stop being focused. And it's and that trickles back down into the frequency of which, how as an organization, or as a unit, or as an entity or an ecosystem, how having the right frequency all the way across the board, and teaching people how to coach behaviors and live to a high standard, and really bring joy, positivity, all the great things in life, and what we have, the abundance, the love, the joy, and bring it into a space, and then not forcing it, but having so much in it around you that it kind of just coexists within each other. And then the only thing we have to do from that point is keep the low frequency out of the space. And I know you guys do a really good job of that. If you guys want to talk a little bit more about that, you can.
Yeah, well, I have a question for you. So let's say not just in the fitness industry, but let's say in any industry, the sales industry, medical industry, anything like that. What do you think people that have high frequency do whenever they do suspect that low frequency, let's say, person or group of people, situation, somebody's going through a season in their life to where they bring it into the workplace? What are some ways that you think that?
Well, okay, perfect question. Number one, I'm going to answer is awareness, right? So if you have ultimate awareness of energy in somewhere, like if you got to be aware of everything that's going on around you, right?
Absolutely.
And then what happens there is emotional intelligence begins to take place as you are present in the moment, which is another big thing in awareness, is like being aware and being present. It gives you this thing called emotional intelligence, where you're like actually present in the moment. You'll be able to feel like somebody's negative energy, if they're off that day, if they're complaining, like there's signs of low. You just gotta know what low frequency looks like, right?
Yeah.
It's just like maybe somebody that's on their phone all the time, somebody that is distracted easily, somebody that doesn't talk about anything that really like has any value. Like stuff that has nothing to do with like what's going on in our day to day that lives in our identity, right? I would like distracted mindset thoughts, things like that. I would classify that as low frequency. So what you would typically do is as a leader, right? I think high frequency is leadership in itself, but as a leader, like you would have to be able to understand that and then be able to sit somebody down, lead with empathy. You got to mirror them as to a specific instance. So you got to kind of swoop down to their level, build them up a little bit, get them to understand, empathize with them. And then from there, after you empathize with them and you get on the same level as them, then you got to bring them up. So now you have to figure out a way to communicate. You got to make them laugh, got to make them smile, bring their energy up, and then get them to understand that, like, hey, listen, the impact that you make doesn't just impact you, but it impacts everybody around you, the clients, whether it's in the hospital, you're in a sales field, or you sell cars, or whatever the case is. Your energy in the space dictates how the client's energy is in the space as well. Same with your coworkers and the people that you work with, and getting you to understand that you have a ripple effect. And this is really about humanity. It's about frequency. It's about, everybody having a good time and everything, but it's really about humanity and just being able to treat people well and understanding that, like, whenever you go into a space, like, there's a ripple effect of every interaction, everything that you do. So to be able to coach the behavior of high frequency, that's how you're able to kind of keep the frequency high in the space. But you got to have that person that cares, and then you got to have the person that is, present. You got to have the person that's emotionally intelligent, and when you're able to teach and duplicate that, it becomes easier. But for the very beginning, it's a struggle, but it's worth every bit, because you get to understand that if you wouldn't have planted that seed, then the whole organization might have been different.
Yeah, it's almost like embracing the outcome that got there.
Yeah.
Because now you get to see from the ground up.
Yeah. And if you guys, so this is like a little bit now where you can kind of talk freely about, if you want to ask me any questions, or if you have anything that you specifically want to talk about.
I just want to add to that, the first question. I think one of the things that kind of helps us like bring the energy is like you set the vision for us. Like, we bought into that vision, and you maintain the vision. You always change it to whatever we need to change it to. But like that helps us like stay focused. But also, like, if anything that comes up, we know like, hey, whatever's going on right now, we just gotta stay focused, because there's a bigger picture that we're trying to strive for. I think that at least helps me kind of bring that energy every day, so that it doesn't affect anybody else at the same time.
Yeah, because as people, right, when there's problems and things, what happens is we tend to hyper-focus on what's going on. And in a high-level leadership role, it is important that whenever there are people that do, one, you can't let the company or your team experience the same amount of stress that you experience, because then everything else gets thrown off. So managing that is super important. But being able to set the vision, set the tone, get people to see the big picture, get them to zoom out of the situation and say, hey, like, overall, I know that X, Y, and Z might, be frustrating, or it might be, a process, but again, this is only a season of time. Give us about 7 to 10 days, and everything will be restructured and everything will be good. And that's good, because as a leader, it's good to, whenever Whenever I point, you guys shoot. Whenever I say move, you guys move. Whenever it's time to shift, you shift. You don't ask questions, right? And I think being able to build trust in knowing that at the end of the day, what we're doing, there's a purpose behind it, and I can trust my leader to enough just to make a decision and then ask questions later.
Yeah.
Rather than having to, question every decision that we make. And I think that has everything to do with one, relationship with who you are and yourself, and decisive with who you are, and letting your team see the confidence in your direction and have the things that you're going, but also in the decisions that you make. And then being able to have enough influence and enough of people around you to get them to see the big picture and be able to shift with you,
Yeah.
And when you do that, things get a lot easier. But and again, it's getting up until this point. It's not that it was easy, but it was worth it. So that's why, I don't ever want to teach y'all to take an easy route. I always want to teach y'all to take the route that is worth it for you. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to teach you guys to take the route that's going to be easiest just so you can get, the instant or the short-term gratification.
Yeah.
Because it's in the long term, right? It's in the big win is whenever you get the big check, or whenever you get the big, the big impact, or you ever create the most influence. And that's why I try to teach y'all to go the distance. Like, whatever it is now is whatever it is now. But if you can just learn and grow and do everything that you're supposed to faster than everybody else, or you just stay focused and you have more attention span, and you are able to process things and stay active and eat the right stuff, because the way that it treats your body, and you're able to have that superhuman reactive nature of your life, and for some reason things just get easier whenever you take care of your body. But whenever you do that, it gives you the advantage and the edge, and that's why I want you guys to have the edge on life. So to be able to teach you guys and be able to impact and influence, and one, it makes my job super fun because I get to see a bunch of little freaking savages go crazy and go psycho on the floor, and I just get to look at the chat and see the numbers go up, and the numbers do play a major role in success. But then there's also things that didn't happen whenever you guys weren't on the team, like the retention plan and the community-based aspect, the birthday cake thing last night. I know you played a part in Larry's birthday. I didn't even know it was happening. Usually that's my role. So for me to leave and see it, and I'm like, where was I at? Yeah. It was cool because it's like a new season for me. I know that there's some things that I'm able to give up, right? But I know it's because I'm walking into a new season. So it's bittersweet because this is my child, it's my baby. So to be able to give you guys, it requires a lot of trust, but to be able to give you guys this and just believe that you guys are going to take care of it, it means a lot to me. This is usually the point in time where I just allow you guys to ask me whatever questions that you want, whatever, maybe say something that the world needs to hear.
Just ever since me and you, man, it's just amazing to see how driven you are. I know me and you have talked on a personal basis when it comes to where that drive comes from and stuff like that. But if you don't mind, would you go into depth on what drives you to not just build the community in the gym, but to build the community outside of the gym whenever you go to special events, community events when it comes to the church, when it comes to giving, when it comes to charities, all that kind of stuff. What drives you to do that?
Okay, ultimately, I will tell you that there was a lot of time that I spent as a child and as a young adult where I was a taker, and I was very selfish. I was very angry. I had a lot of just stuff that I didn't know. I didn't know what my problems were, right? Mm-hmm. And it's what I started to realize is in finding out my problems, I found out the reasons why I was selfish, or I had all these extra these behaviors, and I just realized that I didn't want to live like that anymore. So there was a void that I was trying to fill for a long time, and I just didn't know how to fill it. So then whenever I started to find service work and giving back to the community, and whenever I'm speaking with, there was a freaking kid, man, him and his brother raised $48,000. I was talking just to sponsor, and I was talking, as a, like something like this. And the heart, I never had an actual heartwarming feeling. When I was speaking, my heart was warm, There was one instance like that. There's other instances when I'm driving home from, giving back, or a tour drive for Better Together, or, when I'm Open Arms Village, lots of whenever I'm helping and I'm serving and I'm living in that identity and that truth is whenever I find myself like most fulfilled, most like I walk away and I feel like wow, like
You're on fire.
I'm on fire. Like there's no better feeling than just like doing something for somebody with no intention of getting anything back and just being able to walk away knowing you live a blessed and fruitful life, that you're able to do that for that person and not think twice about it.
I love that.
And it ultimately helped me develop character and integrity, and like, because like at the very beginning in doing that, it was like, man, wasting my freaking time. Like you're just selfish, right? And then what happens is like there's little moments that happen where there's just like this kid that didn't have any freaking toys, and like they get all these tickets and they're super excited that they get to pick whatever they want for Christmas, or they're picking out stuff. The kid has tickets, he's picking out stuff for his mom, right? He only has 7 tickets. It's his freaking Christmas. He's like, he has nothing, They were from Haiti. He had nothing. They moved here. His mom lived in a car. They got 7 tickets. And then he got 4 of his presents for his mom. 3 were his, and then he gave the other 3 toys away. He won little raffles because it was an event for like Christmas or whatever. He ran raffles. He didn't have anywhere to put it. He gave all of his toys away. It's like, you got to see, and whenever you see stuff like that, it's like, you don't want to do anything else. Like, the thing is, the reason why I try to set the vision so well, I try to hook everything up, develop you guys so well, make things happen to a major degree here, is because I know, like, whenever I can leave and I trust this place and I'm able to go do that, that's when I find my most joy, not just in my job, but also like to be able to capture the moments of those kids and like just to see it, and it makes a big difference to you.
For sure.
And that was like, I'm gonna start taking y'all along. Once y'all start experiencing that, like life changes.
Absolutely.
It's like, dude, like I know the place I work at, there's no better place to work. Number one. Number two, if I weren't doing this and I were to be doing something else, I'd be selling myself short. And I've always realized that like through trial and tribulation, whenever I stress out about money or whenever I stress out about outcomes of stuff, or wherever I'm in like a fear-based like mentality, or whenever when doubt creeps in, the things that keep me remembering like the good times and things like that are those moments. Because if I continue to chase money or whatever, I know that at the end of the day, number one, I'm never fulfilled, and you'll burn it to the ground. It'll never be enough. You'll never ever, have the be able to fill that void. So being able to do it through taking care of other people, living life like Christ, and having a vision bigger than just living for you. And that was another thing I was going to say. Looking at the life that I want, that I've lived so far, the exponential growth within a 6-year time frame, all of the exposure of sin and trauma from such a young age, and then to walk into a new parallel and to be able to have a new opportunity. Who I was then is not who I am now. It's like I've lived 2 totally different lives. Understand what I'm saying? And getting that second life, like there's just certain things you don't do to neglect it, and there's certain things that you do to live it to the fullest. And I know in most cases some people's ideology of life and how shallow it is might be cool to them, but at the end of the day, I know as a leader I have an impact. I have a legacy to leave. I have generational curses to break. I have a huge vision that I know is able to be filled. And the prophecy does have to be filled, but I know I have to become a certain person, right? And I have to live to a certain standard, and I have to have certain characteristics. And I know if I don't work on that now, I'll never amount to the growth or to the capacity in which I could. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I like to achieve. I feel like I like fulfillment. I like achievement, and those are the things that keep me running. So. Money's just like video game points, man. You know that. So that's all that is. It's just we're just trying to get a high score, bro.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
everything else is what matters.
That's awesome. I love that.
I mean, my question is just like, from the growth that you had to this point, like, how do you see the future, like the outcome from 5 years from now? Like, what do you want to happen? Like, what growth do you want to experience?
Okay, I can actually have it all mapped out over the next 5 years. I have it all mapped out. It's vivid. The wife will come in at some point. I'm looking for her, right? But ultimately, owner, operator, Zone Health and Fitness. That's within within 5 years. I plan on having a lot of my house paid off within those next 5 years as well. If in due time it calls for it, I can have another piece of property, I'll do that. Stocks and trading and investing, studying that course right now. And then sales and leadership. So ultimately, like, I don't want to have to, whenever I come to work, I don't have to worry about my bills. I do the stocks. In the instance that, I master work, which is definitely a possibility, which will happen, and I will crush this to its ability, to every ability that it can, I will open into a sales and leadership life coaching program. And that will be my next, venture. But I want to stay here. I want to do my stocks. I want to do that, and I don't want to have to work for I want to never have a real job ever. And that's it. And that's the biggest thing. And then being able to be financially free, time free, and then, with the woman of my dreams, where I can go do whatever I want, spend as much time as I want, take care of her, live to my, to the best of my ability, and have a fruitful life. Where I'm not just at work all the time, but I am, I have it all. So at home is good, at work is good, with God is good, my health is good. When I'm in the community, I'm a great person. I'm not, living a secret life behind doors like everybody else does. So, full circle, that, and just, if I were to open up a coaching company, I would try to have the same people that I mentored be able to be on there as well. So, that would be a big thing.
Absolutely.
So, those are the questions. Those are the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I have a vision. I have a big picture. Zone is just the tip of the iceberg. Is where I set my roots at and where I was developed. But ultimately, I know there's a bigger, super big vision, impact, purpose for the world that I want to bring to light. And I think, my story, the information out of it, but also the overcomer. Because everybody wants to overcome. Everybody wants to be somebody. Nobody knows how. So teach them how to be somebody. Teach them how to work through their traumas, how to live in their identity, and be able to give back in the same way that I wish I had, because it's once I figured out, it made it a lot easier, right? And once I was able to explain it to other people, it made it easier for them, and I was able to see them grow rapidly. So to be able to scale somebody's life, that's huge. So to scale somebody's business and help them make money and serve impact, whatever, but to scale somebody's life and help them bring more value to an individual intrinsically, and to have them walk into a new light, a new person, and live in a totally different space is, it's life. It's empowering. You imagine that freaking kid. Imagine if you had your hands in something, for 90 to 126 months, whatever the case may be, and their life changed. And they're now they have the skills, the ability, they're on track. They know how to, go through life and have a fighting chance rather than just be stuck with bad, destructive mental health their whole life because they don't know how to channel through their problems. So, yeah. Cool. So, hey, listen. Fucking Neo. We're going to wrap it up now. I do want to thank you guys for your time today.
Absolutely.
There's nothing else you guys want to talk about? Good to go?
I think we covered everything.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was a good episode.
Absolutely.
I really, people on the opposite side of the screen, listen, I appreciate you wholeheartedly. Extremely grateful for just every, second of time and energy you guys watch me and watch, my team and who I bring on. And just know that it doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm super grateful for, all the time and just everything you guys continue to do. Listen, if this stuck out to you, if you liked it, if it applied to you and you want to share it with somebody, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a share, give me something, show me some love. I appreciate you guys. Listen, I hope you guys have a great, not just rest of your day, but rest of your month. Stay tuned for more episodes.